predsjednici Crnogorskog parlamenta i Crnogorske vlade, uvaženi predsjedniče PAHOR, dragi prijatelju Crne Gore, poštovani gospodine Kentera, poštovani učesnici TUBS foruma, ekscelencije, dame i gospodo, dozvolite da na početku izrazim zadovoljstvo zbog ukazane mi prilike da se kao glavni govornik prvog panela ovogodišnjeg TUBS foruma obratim na jednu veoma inspirativnu temu. Tema je, rekao bih, prilično pjesnički formulisana, iako ne bih rekao da su politički odnosi na evropskom prostoru, da kažem tako, poetični. Pripremajući se za ovo izlaganje, logično konsultovao sam ono što su medijske arhive i pogledao šta sam ovom prilikom govorio na prošlogodišnjem TUBS forumu. Konstatovao sam da je sve to što smo saopštili na prošlogodišnjem forumu jednako aktuelno kao i tada. Te da bi zapravo bilo bespotrebno pokušavati da se definiše neka konstruktivna korekcija ključnih političkih poruka. Takvu ocjenu temeljim prije svega na osnovu utisaka sa, rekao bih, 3 važna događaja na evropskoj i evroatlantskoj političkoj i bezbjednosnoj sceni tokom protekle godine. Imam prije svega u vidu briselski samit NATO-a, gdje dozvoljavam da kažem da osnovni tonovi me nijesu uvjerili da ključni akteri na evroatlantskom prostoru, kao ključni akteri, dovoljno dobro razumijemo da smo na početku jedne nove etape geopolitičke arhitekture. Dakle, nakon one arhitekture koja je bila dominantna do pada Berlinskog zida, usledila je faza u kojoj smo imali arhitekturu sa jednom supersilom u svijetu i definitivno na početku smo neke nove faze gdje oživljavaju ambicije nekih ranijih globalnih igrača i gdje se pojavljuju novi igrači na globalnoj sceni i to svakako mora predstavljati inspiraciju za ključne aktere Evroatlantske alijanse. Kao što sam kazao, samit me nije uvjerio da smo dovoljno dobro razumjeli tu novu situaciju i svakako i na samitu samom, a i nakon njega nismo pokazali dovoljno pažnje prema učvršćivanju evroatlantskog partnerstva i po tom osnovu stvaranju pretpostavki za ozbiljniju dominaciju naše alijanse i u predstojećem periodu. Drugi utisak se tiče evropskog političkog života, rekao bih sa najsvježijim utiscima nakon nedavno završenih evropskih parlamentarnih izbora. Rekao bih da Evropa nastavlja da živi u stanju jedne strateške konfuzije izazvane dugotrajućim, vrlo različitim krizama od 2008. godine do danas, da živi u konfuziji koja Evropu sputava da da odgovore na neka jako važna pitanja za budućnost evropskog kontinenta. Ja bih potencirao posebno 2 takva pitanja. Prvo pitanje je upravo odnos prema viziji ujedinjenja Evrope kao strateškoj pretpostavci za puniju stabilnost i za konkurentnost Evrope na globalnoj političkoj sceni. I drugo pitanje, nedovoljna profilacija identiteta, evropskog identiteta na vanjsko-političku i bezbjednosnu temu. Dakle, polazeći naravno od važne pretpostavke superiornosti, neupitne superiornosti euroatlantizma, čini mi se da postoji vrlo uočljiv prostor u kojem Evropa treba da jasnije profiliše svoje vanjsko-političke i bezbjednosne interese i da na taj način sebe dodatno učvrsti kao važnog igrača na globalnoj političkoj i bezbjednosnoj sceni. I treći utisak se tiče regiona i rekao bih da bismo onim što vidimo u regionu godinu dana kasnije mogli biti zadovoljniji nego onim što vidimo na ova dva prethodno pomenuta nivoa. Tada smo govorili o 3 teška problema koja smo prenijeli iz vremena krize na prostoru ex-Jugoslavije. Danas ipak možemo da sa zadovoljstvom konstatujemo da imamo riješen jedan problem, da imamo riješen problem na relaciji Makedonije i Grčka, da imamo konstituisanu Sjevernu Makedoniju kao zemlju koja je danas, rekao bih, veoma potentna da nastavi onim putem kojim se kretalo do 2008. godine, do samita NATO u Bukureštu i da uskoro zauzme svoje mjesto u NATO alijansi i da otpočne, vjerujem, uspješan proces pregovora sa Evropskom unijom. Također, možemo konstatovati da je započet dijalog na relaciji Beograd-Priština, dakle da je započeto rješavanje drugog teškog regionalnog problema. Naravno, možemo konstatovati i da se u međuvremenu dogodio zastoj, ali rekao bih, taj utisak kod mene nije dominantan. Kod mene je dominantan utisak da je rješavanje tog problema počelo. To je, čini mi se, kapitalno važna politička činjenica, jer koliko do juče nijesmo imali jasno saopštenu spremnost niti sa jedne, niti sa druge adrese da se razgovara o onim pitanjima koja i jedna i druga strana smatraju uslovom da bi došlo do pune međunarodne formalizacije rješenja koje se zapravo počelo konstituisati nakon NATO intervencije na prostoru ex-Jugoslavije 1999. godine. Ako su ova moja zapažanja tačna, onda je aktuelno i šta mislim da je potrebno raditi u narednom periodu i šta bih želio da podijelim sa vama. Krenuo bih prije svega iz evropske perspektive. Dakle, završili su se izbori koji su sa velikom nervozom i nestrpljenjem iščekivani, završeni su, rekao bih, povoljnije nego što su bila pesimistička očekivanja, mogu slobodno kazati, dominantne političke javnosti u Evropi. Dakle, došlo je do izvjesnog gubitka rejtinga onih tradicionalnih vodećih političkih proevropskih grupacija u Europskom parlamentu, mislim na EPP i na PES, ali su te dvije grupacije i dalje zadržale dominaciju na europskoj političkoj sceni. Tačno je da po prvi put u poslednjih 40 godina te dvije grupacije neće biti u prilici da same odlučuju o tome kako će izgledati izvršna vlast u Europskoj uniji, ali ono što je dobra vijest da nijesu u očekivanoj mjeri, u najavljenoj mjeri ojačale te radikalno desne, populističke, antievropske partije i da danas možemo konstatovati da ipak glavni transfer iz EPP-a i PES-a nije otišao prema desničarskim partijama, nego prema liberalima, ojačanim partijom LAREM, francuskog predsjednika Emmanuela Macrona i prema evropskim zelenim. Ja mislim da je to dobra vijest i da možemo konstatovati da Evropa ipak stabilno ostaje na svom strateškom političkom kursu. Druga dobra vijest je da smo ovog puta imali visoku zainteresovanost evropske političke javnosti da učestvuje na ovim izborima. Gotovo 51% evropskih birača je učestvovalo na ovim izborima, to je najviše u poslednjih 20 godina i zapravo bili smo svjedoci jednog najmnogoljudnijeg demokratskog događaja poslije indijskih izbora. Dakle, ovo je svakako dobar pokazatelj da je evropska politička javnost prepoznala važnost trenutka u kojem se određuje strateški kurs evropske budućnosti i da je kroz učešće na izborima evropska biračka javnost doprinijela odlukama za koje, kao što sam na početku kazao, vjerujem da Evropu zadržavaju u onom strateškom kursu kojim se Evropa kretala od svog formiranja do danas. Mislim da je jako važno da Evropa nastavi sa politikom proširenja, jer mislim da će politika proširenja doprinijeti i punijoj stabilnosti Evrope i boljoj konkurentnosti Evrope na globalnoj političkoj sceni. I jednako tako vjerujem, kao što sam već kazao, da je vrijeme da Evropa jasnije profiliše svoju vanjsko-političku i bezbjednosnu politiku i da tu politiku prije svega koncentriše na pitanje svojih odnosa sa istočnim i sa južnim susjedstvom. Dakle, uz puno poštovanje pravila ponašanja u euroatlantskom partnerstvu, ne mislim da Evropa u tom partnerstvu treba da učestvuje bez jasnog identiteta na planu definisanja svoje vanjske i bezbjednosne politike. Druga poruka se tiče našeg euroatlantskog partnerstva. Mislim da je jako važno da nastavimo sa politikom pune odgovornosti prema euroatlantskom partnerstvu. Kazao sam da takav utisak nijesam ponio sa NATO samita u Briselu i nijesam takav utisak stekao ni kroz ono što je bio dnevni politički život na euroatlantskom prostoru i prije i poslije tog samita. Čini mi se da danas opet svjedočimo jednom novom odnosu ključnih partnera u Euroatlantskom savezu, odnosu sa nedovoljnim uvažavanjem prema onome što je tekovina euroatlantizma posle Drugog svjetskog rata. Euroatlantizam je definitivno nakon Drugog svjetskog rata donio stratešku superiornost ne samo Evropi i Americi, nego rekao bih da je donio ogromne pogodnosti čitavom čovečanstvu. Tako da poruke koje su se mogle čuti u međuvremenu s jedne i s druge strane Atlantika, čini mi se da nedovoljno respektuju tu osnovu i taj temelj na kojem su Evropa i Amerika izgradile svoju superiornost u prethodnom periodu. Već sam kazao, mislim da moramo otvorenih očiju pogledati na to da počinje nova faza geopolitičke arhitekture, da se pojavljuju novi igrači i da te druge igrače kao Euroatlantski savez ne smijemo gledati preko nišane i ne smijemo gledati kao a priorne naše političke protivnike. Ali jednako tako moramo i napustiti ideju da možemo jednostavno izvoziti svoje formule društvenog razvoja na druge prostore. Nema univerzalnih formula. Sve te formule su onoliko uspješne ukoliko dovoljno uvaže ono što je sociokulturni kontekst svakog od prostora na kojem želimo da promovišemo svoje vrijednosti. Moramo dakle kao ključni partneri u Euroatlantskom savezu nastaviti da promovišemo svoje vrijednosti, nastaviti da gradimo strateška partnerstva u svijetu, prije svega sa svojim susjedima, makar se i razlikovali u ovom vremenu od njih, ali ponavljam, nije izlaz u neprijateljstvu, nego je izlaz u sposobnosti vođenja politike koja će otvoriti perspektivu da na dugi rok gradimo partnerstvo i da promovišemo svoje vrijednosti. Ali za početak moramo prije svega uspješno odbraniti ono što je zona naše odgovornosti, počev od Balkana. Na Balkanu se sada prelama upravo to pitanje, da li ćemo kao Evropa i kao NATO odbraniti evropski, evroatlantski sistem vrijednosti ili ćemo Balkan prepustiti uticaju trećih strana koje ovu konfuziju na našem prostoru pokušavaju iskoristiti za penetraciju svojih politika i svojih vrednostnih sistema koji su definitivno u ovom trenutku dijametralno suprotstavljeni evropskom i evroatlantskom sistemu vrijednosti. I treće, kada je u pitanju region, mislim da moramo nastaviti sa posvećenošću da rješavamo pitanja koja smo prenijeli iz prethodnog perioda, iz perioda raspada ex-Jugoslavije. Kazao sam da imamo razloga da budemo zadovoljni da smo sa dnevnog reda skinuli pitanje odnosa Makedonije i Grčke. To je i svakako razlog da i sa ovog mjesta čestitamo i jednima i drugima i da prije svega izrazimo zadovoljstvo što se pokazalo da kada postoji jako liderstvo, kada postoji dobra politička namjera, kada postoji jasan benefit na kraju jednog procesa i po jednu i po drugu stranu, onda nema nikakve sumnje da će razumni ljudi doći do očekivanog epiloga. To bi morala biti inspiracija za nastavak procesa dijaloga između Beograda i Prištine. Ovom sastavu, a rekao bih i ukupnoj crnogorskoj javnosti, ne treba objašnjavati koliko je to teško pitanje, koliko je teško istorijsko nasleđe srpsko-albanskih odnosa i odnosa na relaciji Srbija-Kosovo. Već sam kazao, smatram kapitalno važnim da se na jednoj i na drugoj adresi pojavili ljudi koji su spremni da sjednu za sto i da razgovaraju. Ne sada više o tome da li je Kosovo u sastavu Srbije, jer definitivno nije, nakon svih grešaka načinjenih na tu temu još u jugoslovensko vrijeme i u vrijeme posle raspada Jugoslavije, zaključno sa tim pokušajem etničkog i vjerskog inženjeringa na Kosovu 1999. godine. Definitivno to nije tema, ali ono što jeste tema, to je pod kakvim uslovima su jedna i druga strana spremne da dovedu do formalizacije, do međunarodne formalizacije faktičkog stanja kojeg danas imamo. To smatram kapitalno važnim za stabilnost ovog regiona. Naravno i za samu Crnu Goru i zbog toga smo suštinski zainteresovani da se ovaj prekid što prije završi, prekid dijaloga, da se glavni akteri vrate za sto, da pokušamo da im pomognemo da dođu do pozitivnog epiloga. Negdje sam uvjeren da je ovo zaista strateški važan trenutak za ukupnu stabilnost našeg regiona. Poznajući političku scenu i jedne i druge države, čini mi se da ukoliko bismo ispustili ovu priliku, da bismo vjerovatno na sljedeću morali da sačekamo možda ne samo godinama, možda čak i decenijama, i da produžimo da živimo u atmosferi nedovoljne stabilnosti našeg regiona. Zato je jako važno da pokušamo da doprinesemo da se iz ovog problema izađe na konstruktivan način sa jednim pametnim političkim epilogom, da bismo nakon toga mogli da se usredsredimo na ono pitanje koje će voditi ka većoj funkcionalnosti Bosne i time stvaranju pretpostavki za puniju evropsku i evroatlantsku integraciju regiona u cjelini. Završavam uz izvinjenje što je to malo ipak duže potrajalo sa napomenom, rekao bih podrazumijevajućom, Crna Gora će nastaviti i dalje da igra onu ulogu koju po mom uvjerenju veoma ubjedljivo igra tokom svih prethodnih godina. Ozbiljnog promotera evropskih i evroatlantskih vrijednosti u ovom regionu. Dakle, naši prioriteti, i premijer Marković je kazao već o tome, ostaju puna evropska integracija, dakle prije svega u cilju dostizanja evropskog kvaliteta života za naše građane, i drugo, to je zadržavanje dobrog tempa ekonomskog rasta, jer to vidimo kao jedini realan put za ostvarenje ovog ključnog političkog cilja evropskog kvaliteta života u Crnoj Gori. Dakle, sa takvom pozicijom ubijeđen sam da će Crna Gora nastaviti da učvršćuje svoja partnerstva i u regionu i na evropskom i na evroatlantskom prostoru i da dalje doprinosi punijoj promociji onih vrijednosti koje smatramo jako važnim za napredak čovječanstva u cjelini. Hvala vam na pažnji.
Gospodine predsjedniče, moj dragi prijatelj, predsjednik parlamenta, vlade, Savo, ekscelencije, dame i gospodo. Hvala još jedanput na pozivu da mogu, kako me je Savo zamolio, u svom imenu reći nekoliko stvari u vezi proširenja poslije evropskih izbora. So, thank you so much, Savo, for inviting me and give me this opportunity to address this issue. I do not speak on behalf of EU. I will try to give a short assessment. How do I see the enlargement process after European elections? Now, first of all, I would say the enlargement process would not be at the top of the agenda of the new Commission. I don't know, nobody knows who will be the new Commission President, how the Commission will look like, but I would say that definitely, out of my experience being a member of European Parliament, being a member of European Council as a Prime Minister, due to different circumstances, we can, say that definitely, unfortunately, enlargement would not be at the top of the agenda of the next Commission. Now, the question is, and I think we should do our best to get there, should be at least at the bottom of the agenda. There are certain conditions to get there, and I would like to talk about two of them. Number one, I think should be crystal clear to all of 27 or 28 countries that enlargement to the Western Balkans, it is not technical issue. It's not technical process. It is highly political one. I think it's important what we've just said at the summit of Brdo Brijuni meeting in Tirana, that this is basically geopolitical issue. And if you would take a look of the map of Europe, you would see Western Balkans there as an island, and all around it members of European Union. The absorption capacity of EU as far as Western Balkans is concerned, it's there. It is political issue, it is geopolitical issue, how the next Commission will address this issue. So, I think that there is a consensus among leaders in this part of Europe that we would ask the Commission right after will be elected in the House to try to see the enlargement process as such, as the geopolitical issue, which is very complicated, but right because of this, because of the complicity of the issue, the process should go on. Now, the second thing we have to have in our mind is that would be good for all, for Brussels and for every country in this region, to take the region as a whole when negotiating with Brussels. Now, I would not say that would be now wise to neglect differences among countries. That wouldn't be fair. So the negotiation process between Commission and different countries will go, case by case, and that's good and fair. But at least in my view, after all my experiences dealing with this part of Europe and having in mind this enlargement fatigue back in Brussels, would be good for the process and for everybody in the region that Brussels would see the region as a whole, and that the region would behave as such. Now, that would require a little bit different attitude of all players in the region, and also the most important members of the Commission and Council back in Brussels. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, that this is the only way to go. This is the only way to go. If members, the countries in the region would try strongly, with strong political will, to solve problems among them, and if Brussels would inspire all of them, not just one or another, to go and to reform their societies, then I think there is a chance that maybe in, 5, 10, 15 years, there is a European perspective finally for these countries. This is number 2. And number 3, to conclude, we should try to invite the next Commission to see the difference between having a dialogue with Ukraine and having the political negotiation with Ankara on one side, and having political negotiation with Western Balkans country on the other side. I think would be fair, would be good, would be good for everybody, for European Union, for countries of Western Balkans, that the process would go on. Now, nobody does expect that the Commission will, as I said at the beginning, will force now the enlargement process. No, there is no need to do so because there is no political will in the House as elected a couple of days ago. But there is a strong need to keep the process going on and to invite all countries, not just Montenegro, which is the leader as far as this process is concerned, or to now reward the North Macedonia, or to invite Serbia and Kosovo to go on with this important dialogue, not to neglect Bosnia, which is there and nothing has happened. So I think that would be wise to keep the Western Balkans as such, not as a package, but for the purposes of this conference, I would say so, and to inspire countries in the region to solve bilateral issues, to keep them all in the process, not to inspire one and to neglect the others. Now, let me start by saying that the key country at the end of the day is Bosnia. I strongly support the dialogue between Belgrade and Kosovo. It is a very complicated matter. I even supported the idea of Thaçi and Vučić. I know that there is no consensus on this very, very delicate issue in European Union, but I, as the President of the Republic of Slovenia, I do support this idea. It is a little bit out of the box. It is very sensitive, but if the international community would be there, if the dialogue would go in a frank manner, if it would be controlled, if not, the goal would be ethnical division between two countries, and there would be no collateral damage to Bosnia or to some other countries, I think maybe, just maybe, this is the way to go. And then, as I said, Bosnia. I think Bosnia is a country sui generis. I said always, and I will try to advocate this back in Brussels, that we should keep Bosnia specifically on the agenda and do whatever it takes to inspire political forces there to go on with the reform process, but also to help them to reach some sort of progress. So let me finish by saying that now the new Commission will be in Brussels, that it is extremely important to keep in mind the Commission and the House, that the enlargement process is there, that should not be neglected in next 5 years, that should be a different way, different path to negotiate with the countries of Western Balkans, and that it is extremely important for the peace and stability and the welfare of these countries and of European Union that the process would go on no matter how difficult some questions could be in next couple of years. But this is the main condition to keep peace and security. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ali Aslan. It's a great pleasure to be back here. Last year was my very first time in this beautiful country at the 2BS Forum. Delighted to be back and kicking it off with the very first panel, indeed picking up on many of the points that have already been made extensively. Much to talk about: Western Balkans, gremlins of the past, and fairy tales of the future, ladies and gentlemen. We have a wonderful panel, great panel here with us, and it's my great pleasure to introduce them and invite them up on stage. First up, we have the Bosnian Defense Minister here with us. Delighted to have her. Please welcome Minister Marina PENDEŠ, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome the Parliamentary State Secretary from the German Ministry of Defense. Please welcome Thomas SILBERHORN, ladies and gentlemen. We have with us the State Secretary for Security Policy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary. Ladies and gentlemen, Péter SZTÁRAY is here with us. Gentleman whom everybody knows here quite well, of course, he's the former Prime Minister of Montenegro. Currently, he is the Director of the Southeast Europe Division at PwC. Igor LUKŠIČ, ladies and gentlemen, is here with us. And last but not least, this round would not be complete without him. Great to see him back here, the Executive Vice President of the Atlantic Council, Damon WILSON. Wonderful to have you all, and thank you for joining us for this very first panel. Lots to talk about, Minister. We heard it. Many of the points have been made by prime ministers and presidents. Lots to talk about. Lots going on in this region, in the Western Balkans. Let me start out straight away with the question. The EU, as we've heard numerous times, has recommended opening membership talks with Albania and North Macedonia. Bosnia and Herzegovina was not on this list. How disappointed are you?
Prije svega želim se zahvaliti gospodinu doktoru Kenteri na izvrsno organiziranom forumu i svima koji su sudjelovali. A iz ovih uvodnih izlaganja keynote speakera je vidljivo, ja bih odmah kazala da se slažem sa svim, mislim da su prepoznati problemi ovoga regiona koji nisu samo definirani sa našim internim problemima unutar države kao je Bosna i Hercegovina, koji nas opterećuju unutar Bosne i Hercegovine, Bosna i Hercegovina zemlje u regiji ili recimo problem Kosova, Srbije, nego i problemi koji još uvijek nisu jasno definirani u okviru Evropske unije, kada je u pitanju i vanjska politika Evropske unije, sigurnosna i obrambena politika Evropske unije i sve se to u stvari prelijeva u Bosnu i Hercegovinu. Kao ministrica obrane Bosne i Hercegovine moram iskazati na neki način razočarenje, ali opet uvijek sam optimista da ćemo i mi sigurno uskoro uspjeti naći rješenje, jer i Bosna i Hercegovina je imala izbore u listopadu mjesecu prošle godine i vjerujem da će demokratska volja birača uskoro biti prepoznata na način da se izabere vijeće ministara, da može funkcionirati i da parlamentarne povjerenstva koja su nužna za daljnji rad i preuzimanje obaveza tih istih koji su dobili povjerenje građana na posljednjim izborima biti implementirano kroz programe. Mislim da naši glavni vanjsko-politički ciljevi Bosne i Hercegovine su jasno definirani i kroz zakone i kroz strategije koje je usvojilo predsjedništvo Bosne i Hercegovine, a to su evropske i euroatlantske integracije. I meni su pozitivne poruke od strane predsjednika i Crne Gore, naravno i vlade, ali i predsjednika PAHOR-a da u fokusu svojih djelovanja, bez obzira da li se radilo o europskom ili euroatlantskom putu, Bosna i Hercegovina je jedna od država koje oni na tom putu uveliko podupiru i koji će u stvari, kako sam ja shvatila, sigurno pomoći nama, našim liderima i onima koji donose odluke kako bismo unutarnje možda probleme trenutno izazove s kojima smo suočeni unutar Bosne i Hercegovine bolje i adekvatnije prevazišli.
So I take it for now disappointed initially but hopeful that Bosnia and Herzegovina will be taken into account.
Bosna i Hercegovina je dio jugoistoka Europe, mi smo dio Europe, kroz naše zakone, to sam i sama kazala, kroz ono što misli većina naroda, vrijednosti koje se dijele ili koje zajednički dijelimo sa Evropskom unijom ili zemljama Evropske unije su u stvari vrijednosti koje se poštivaju unutar Bosne i Hercegovine.
Thomas Silberhorn, Germany and Chancellor Merkel in particular has taken the lead in trying to move the discussion and the progress here forward. You hosted a summit with Western Balkan nations in Berlin. Quite a turbulent region, no doubt. We just heard from the Slovenian president. Enlargement not really on the agenda right now in Europe. Would you agree with him?
Well, this Berlin process shows that there is no fatigue in the European Union towards the Western Balkans. On the contrary, I think there is...
Is your microphone on? Just...
I hope so. Yeah. Maybe it's better like this?
There you go.
Okay. So, the Berlin process shows that there is no fatigue in the European Union towards the Western Balkans. Maybe there is a tendency to deal with our own internal affairs creating the new institutions after the European Parliament elections, hosting refugees, protecting our external borders, stabilizing our currency, yes, of course. But I think there is a new window of opportunity to focus again on the Western Balkans. And the progress report submitted and published this week show that on the one side there is significant progress in many countries of the Western Balkans, but of course there is a lot to do. The speed is not determined by the European Commission, but by the respective countries themselves. That's like Croatia, for example, did it years ago. Of course, everybody is invited to autonomously implement what is needed to accelerate the process. But I think it's clear that there should be a common European interest, not only to look at the Western Balkans as a whole, I fully agree to this aspect, but also to make clear what this European concept of partnership is. So I'm a bit concerned that the Western Balkans have been in the past and remain until today, as has been mentioned before, a geopolitical playing field of others. And I think the interest of not only the Western Balkans, but also of all Europeans should be to foster peace and stability here. So the concept of partnership of the European Union is not to project European power towards our neighbors or to dominate our neighbors or to weaken our neighbors in order to gain more influence on our own. Because our experience over centuries in Europe was that this concept of balancing the power of the bigger ones terribly failed and escalated to 2 world wars. And that's why the concept of the European Union was that everybody has to have the chance to sit at the same table, the bigger ones and the smaller ones. And yes, this means some more responsibility maybe for the bigger ones. It's more expensive for the bigger ones. It's a huge internal debate in the bigger countries like Germany, but it's a win-win situation for everybody. The smaller countries gain room of maneuver while sitting at the same table. The bigger countries have to bring in more, but it's the model who can secure peace and stability, and that's why it's a win-win situation for everybody. This is the concept of partnership at eye level of the European Union, and I think we have to recognize that so many Western Balkan countries, all the Western Balkan countries, are dedicated to this partnership concept, and that's why we should focus our energy more on this Western Balkan region.
Now, let me just follow up on what you just said, and it's been said numerous times here in the initial talks here as well, that under any circumstances it should be avoided, must be avoided that external factors, external powers gain groundhold here and expand their influence. Notably, China, of course, has just recently staged a 16+1 summit between Beijing and Central Eastern European countries. But if the EU is extending, or rather saying we are going to open membership talks with Albania and North Macedonia and not following up on it at the summit in June, and by the way, you and I know this is what Macron, the French president, is very much against. Isn't that undermining EU influence and credibility in this region?
Well, it is indeed a question of credibility. These progress reports are reports describing the status of negotiations. It's now subject of the talks to follow among the EU member countries. My strong impression is that the reluctance we can see not only in France, in many other European Union
Netherlands,
countries,
Denmark,
are not really driven by the outcomes of these reports. This reluctance is mainly driven by the domestic situation. And yes, there is reluctance in many European societies towards enlargement in general. This goes in line with the populist movements and parties we see, but the strong message of the European Parliament election last Sunday was that there was a huge increase in the participation of our societies in these European Parliament elections. And there was a strong participation of the younger generation. And maybe for the first time, the European Parliament election was not used as an instrument to bash the European Union, but there was a clear statement of many parties, and it was the clear expectation of our voters to define the European common goals we have to follow. And that's why I think there is a chance to clearly distinct the domestic interests, national interests, from the common European path we have to go. And yes, the European foreign and security policy has to realize that we are highly interested in stabilizing the regions around the European Union, member countries, and of course this is the Western Balkans at first, but it's in a different way, the Northern African region, the Sahel region in the same way. We must be a bit careful not to use the same toolbox for each and everybody around the European Union. And I think this aspect that was mentioned before is right. But the Western Balkans, we will have a strong support from the German government in the course also of our Berlin process that hopefully can help in this regard. And there are strong messages in these progress reports. Now, I would say it might be challenging to meet the expectations for quick reactions and quick results before the summer, due to the internal discussions on the new European Commission's president and so on. But in due time, I would say in the course of this year, we will see significant progress.
So the progress will be seen sooner or later, says Thomas Silberhorn. PENDEŠ. Your country, of course, is recently celebrating or marking 15th anniversary of your own EU membership. If you look around this room, if you look around this country and this region, all these countries who want to who aspire to become members of the European Union, looking back 15 years now, draw a resume. What's your conclusion? As an EU member, what have you gained? What have you gained, Hungary, as a nation, from being an EU member?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to this great conference, and congratulations to Savo Kentor and his team for what they have accomplished here. To your question, Hungary is one of the newer EU members who are satisfied with their membership because we have gained a lot. But on the other hand, older EU members have gained a lot too, because they want our markets, they want free access to our economies. And I think this is a two-way street. It's beneficial for all of us. What we are reluctant a little bit on is when we have the treaties, and at the same time we see that there is an extension of the powers of the Commission, for example. So we are very eager on keeping that kind of balance, keeping our sovereignty, but at the same time contributing to the purposes of the EU. Now, for this region, I think it was President ĐUKANOVIC who mentioned the kind of strategic confusion. I would say that there is a lack of strategic vision, and this has been the case for a long time, because we are lost in conditionality instead of looking at the strategic importance of the Western Balkans and what it means in terms of security, stability, and economic terms to the whole Euro-Atlantic area, basically. So the Hungarian position is that we have to take the next steps in the integration process of all the countries of the region, because they need not only a faraway perspective, but they also need concrete rewards of their performance, because they have performed very well in the past few weeks. So we hope that in June there will be a frank and open discussion about the future steps that we have to take in the EU on enlargement, and that we can come to a conclusion and we can come to a good compromise and good decisions about that, because if we don't do that, then we will contribute to uncertainties in this region, and we want to avoid it. So I hope my government will be very, very clear on that, on the 18th of June in the General Affairs Council we reach consensus that I'm not going into details on each country, but that each of the countries make some progress in their Euro-Atlantic integration.
Hungary, of course, has been quite a bit in the news, particularly in the context of the refugee crisis. The Council of Europe's Human Rights Commissioner, for instance, has accused your country of human rights abuses, have said that the rule of law, the freedom of expression, freedom of media is being undermined. If Hungary were a candidate country today, do you think it would be admitted?
I think so, because we can objectively and clearly state what is wrong with these statements, because Hungary is a free democracy. I mean, we have free elections, we have free press, we have whatever you need for a free democratic system. And we are a bit surprised sometimes how the mainstream media is portraying our country undemocratic, while at the same time they are pushing some policies which we think are very biased, you know. And we had European parliamentary elections last week, Saturday, and the governing parties, in a free system, because it's the same system that you have in each and every EU country, it won 52% of the votes. This is a clear legitimation of this government, and this government is a very effective government which has the support of the people. So if you say populist government or populist system, then I think that's a positive statement, because that means that they have the real support of the people. And democracy is with the people, for the people.
So you're saying the accusation that Hungary is straying away from European values is incorrect, is what you're saying?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Right. Igor LUKŠIČ, if we look at the landscape of Montenegro, of course, I just mentioned North Macedonia and Albania have been extended invitation. I asked the same question to the defense minister. Montenegro has not received such invitation at this particular point. You, of course, are no longer in politics, but have guided this country for many years. How disappointed are you that Montenegro was not invited to open membership talks?
Well, we're not disappointed because we've been having accession talks for like 7 years. So we couldn't get extended any kind of invitation. So the only thing we should probably be, in a way, disappointed with is the lack of appetite for enlargement at this stage, which is shown by the European Union. And the thing that last member state to join European Union was Croatia in 2013, already shows a visible gap of 6-7 years. When we opened accession talks in June 2012, I was frequently asked about, okay, now that you have opened accession talks, when would you think Montenegro could become a member state of the EU? And back then my response was, well, I think it's realistic to discuss about 2020, 2021. And 2020 is already behind the corner, and obviously no sign yet, which, I mean, reading the European Commission's report suggests that there is still a lot more work to be done as part of our homework. But in a way, it also signals that, and we've just heard from President PAHOR, his expectation about whether enlargement policy will be at the top or at the bottom or at all part of the next European Commission's agenda, suggests that there is a lack of visible or tangible, obviously, discussion on that topic right now. I also remember when Jean-Claude Juncker said that there was no enlargement envisaged for the still incumbent European Commission on their agenda in 2014. There was uproar by the Western Balkan countries, we included, asking questions and so on, and then Federica Mogherini was frequently, and Johannes Kahn were frequently in the position to respond, well, that is not the case, process is still up and living, and so on and so on. But then, last year, approaching the end of this European Commission's tenure in the office, or mature stage of the office, Juncker revealed European Commission's strategy and the Horizon 2025, which after a while got diluted in Sofia, and mention of 2025 was kind of out. And informally, there are talks about 2030 or whatever. But then I'd like to point to another remark made by President Pahor when he said that it is fine to keep bilateral process, bilateral dynamics between the European Commission and the EU with its member states, and case-by-case approach with Western Balkan countries. But it is also important that region as a whole shows commitment to rule of law, to regional cooperation, to economic development policies, and so on. And I think it also matters a lot. So it is clearly very important that talks with North Macedonia and Albania start very soon. I think it was even last year's decision, in my personal view, was quite irrational. And this year's decision not to open the talks with North Macedonia and Albania might have a devastating impact on the enthusiasm for reforms in those countries. And inevitably, there's always a spillover effect. I think we need newcomers to the process. I think it's well deserved. When you look at the structure of the process, there are so many checkpoints throughout the process, and the European Union and member states can really have full control over the process, making sure that countries live up to the moment, make sure that they meet all the benchmarks and so on, and get ready for the eventual membership whenever it comes. But opening the process, having them really engaged, working also with other countries which are either candidates or potential candidates, is important to keep the momentum, to keep dynamics of the process, to make sure that we as a region, applying the principles again of the state building, rule of law, democratic accountability, economic development, and so on, make sure that little by little we progress towards the eventual membership. But eventual membership seen as has already been discussed by President ĐUKANOVIC by meeting European quality of life. But those two things, in a way, live one next to the other.
And just to quickly follow up, if these hopes that both you and the minister have voiced about future membership, not just Montenegro and Bosnia, but the entire region, of course, same goes for Macedonia as well as Albania, if these promises do not come to fruition anytime soon, do you think this will stifle, do you think this will discourage further reform and progress in this region?
Well, again, I think that it is really important not to understand the process as purely technical process. It is highly political one. And I think what matters equally is that we make sure that there is enough of economic dynamism in this region. I think European Union is extremely important natural partner, and all the countries in the region have voiced their interest to join EU, and that's very logical. But I think both sides, when I say both sides, meaning European Union and all the member states, but also region and all the countries from the region, also make sure that Sofia priorities are, being handled in a tangible way, because making sure that there is economic development, economic dynamism in the region, I'm pretty sure that it will also create more social mobility in this region, which will lead to less nationalism, less populism, more democratic accountability, more stronger exercise of the rule of law principles, and so on.
So reforms and progress not as a means to an end, but something that ought to be implemented anyway in order to move this region and these countries forward. Damon WILSON, certainly somebody who knows this region very well. You've traveled quite extensively in this region, and also prior to this conference, my understanding you were in Belgrade before. And let me touch upon this. Obviously, the name issue, thankfully, has been the dispute has been resolved. resolved. But one conflict, of course, that hasn't is still the issue of Kosovo and Serbia. Some call it border correction, some call it land swap. The topic and the proposal set forth by President Vučić and Taci. What is the way out here? At the end of the day, you have proponents on both sides of the aisle. You know this region very well. You talk to the influencers and the decision makers. What's the way out, Damon?
So first of all, let me just say it's such a pleasure to be back here in Montenegro and to be here sort of 2 years after this country has become a NATO ally. It's pretty remarkable. This conference, To Be Secure, was started on the idea of how do you make this place secure. It's now anchored in the alliance thanks to good work of folks like yourself, Prime Minister LUKŠIČ, to Foreign Minister Domanovic, who's with us. It's a real pleasure to be back. I am here with a group of about 12 Americans, Judy Ansley, a former Deputy National Security Advisor, a group of staffers from the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives, as a testament that the United States still understands its catalytic and critical role in the region and playing and supporting this process of as reforms take place on the ground, that we kind of hold up our end of the bargain to support the integration of countries in the region in the great institutions of the strategic West. And we've come here from Pristina, from Tirana, from Belgrade, as you just said, Ali. And look, if you think about, there are lots of concerns in this region, but if you look out over the past couple of years, what do we have? After being quite concerned and frightened by a Russian-backed alleged coup attempt in this country, where are we? Well, we succeeded in getting Montenegro into NATO and anchored permanently in a secure way. We've helped facilitate and seen the Greeks and Macedonians come together between Athens and Skopje to agree the Prespa agreement so that we can welcome North Macedonia into the alliance, hopefully soon. We'll have to fix the map on the screen. And we've had pretty dramatic progress, despite a little bit of drama right now between Belgrade and Pristina. We've seen a lot of practical agreements hammered out between the Serbs and the Kosovars. And while we're in a little bit of a funk, it's not a great place this week. I think what we've seen coming from Pristina and from Belgrade is that there is a strategic understanding that there aren't a lot of options. There aren't a lot of bright pathways forward for Kosovo. There's huge obstacles in place for Serbia if the Belgrade-Kosovo-Pristina dialogue cannot succeed in producing results. Now, the United States has tried to be catalytic here. It's caused a little bit of nervousness here because Washington has been saying that we don't come to this big issue with any red lines, nor do we come with any blank checks. That's been the administration position. And the point really is that it's not ours to impose a settlement from the outside, but very much like we saw in Prespa, we want leaders from Kosovo and Serbia to do the hard work and figure out what they can live with, what they can deliver, and what they can produce for their own people. And what they can agree on, we can probably back. Now, it looks like there isn't a lot of support out there for the so-called border demarcation. But what the point is that there needs to be not a piecemeal set of steps, but a historic reconciliation, a 360-degree settlement that clears the underbrush, allows Kosovo to pursue its pathway towards the United Nations, begin to act like a country that would have the aspirations that others on stage have had about the future of their country. But really for Serbia as well, we met so many people in Serbia who are eager to build their economy, build their future. And as long as this issue remains unresolved, Serbia remains vulnerable to outside manipulation, nefarious sources. This issue unresolved is oxygen for organized crime, criminal networks, frankly, great power competition. And I think the Serbs know that themselves. I've seen a resolve and determination from President Vučić. If you heard him this week before the parliament, telling the Serbian people, time is not on our side. Losing wars have consequences, that we have to face bitter truths, not sweet lies. He began a conversation of some difficult, frank conversations to prepare the public there for an ultimate decision.
You're saying the United States is the one that wants to guide and aid in this process. Many are saying, this redrawing of borders is a very dangerous precedent. Once we go down this road, then obviously other nations might be up for grabs. The National Security Advisor, John Bolton, seems to be in favor of this particular initiative. But that's not, if I understand it correctly, that's not an official U.S. statement and U.S. position.
That's a mischaracterization. I think if you think about it, first of all, the European Union's been in the lead. It's designated by the UN with our support to play this role. And we want to be supportive, the United States wants to be supportive from the outside. A group like mine, the Atlantic Council, wants to be supportive from the outside. It's not as if John Bolton came out and said, we want land swaps. That's not the point in Washington. The point in Washington was to support the two leaders, President Vučić and Thaci, and to support the High Rep Mogherini to say, go at it. Figure out what you can agree on. We're not going to draw preconditions. We're not going to impose the terms. And so it's come across in the region as if John Bolton in the White House is saying we're going to redraw borders. That's not the point at all. He was trying actually to be supportive, believe it or not, of the High Rep Mogherini to say, okay, we're going to back a process where we don't have preconditions. Now, I think there's a lot more at stake. There are a lot of other things on the table. There are other things on the table the United States can bring to sweeten the package for Serbia and for Kosovo. And so I think we need to think a little bit bigger, a little bit more creatively. Nobody is interested in opening the wounds of the past in this region. This is about creating a historic, comprehensive deal so that we actually aren't trapped by the ghosts of the past, but that we can focus on building a future, which is it's just moving too slowly in this region, and this can help give it some impetus.
We should prevent opening old wounds from the past, says Damon WILSON, Executive Vice President of the Atlantic Council. Minister PENDEŠ, also something, of course, your country, I would assume, is closely monitoring.
I'm sorry.
The situation, both, exactly.
When we speak about our membership in European Union, moram kazati da Bosna i Hercegovina je u posljednje 3 godine napravila iznimne korake naprijed, prije svega kad govorimo o našem putu ka Evropskoj uniji, jer smo i podnijeli zahtjev za članstvo u Evropskoj uniji, odgovorili na pitanja, na neki način dobili pozitivan odgovor iz Evropske unije, ali isto tako i značajan broj sugestija šta je potrebno u Bosni i Hercegovini uraditi. Vi znate da je Bosna i Hercegovina na neki način, za razliku od zemalja iz regiona, ima drugačiji ustavni ustroj koji je, za razliku od naših susjeda Crne Gore, Srbije i Sjeverne Makedonije, malo kompliciraniji i nužna je suglasnost na neki način i entiteta, ali i kantona u jednom od entiteta, što uveliko komplicira iznalaženje zajedničkih stajališta, ali kad govorimo o odnosima Evropske unije, politici proširenja koja je nužna, bez obzira na ove na neki način pesimističke izjave predsjednika PAHOR-a i spremnosti pojedinih zemalja Evropske unije da na adekvatan način daju potporu zemljama kao što je i Republika Srbija, Crna Gora, naravno Bosna i Hercegovina, Albanija i Sjeverna Makedonija, mislim da oni trebaju, odnosno mi, zemlje iz ovoga regiona, naći partnere, svoje prijatelje unutar Evropske unije koji će za nas biti na neki način odvjetnici naši, koji bolje razumiju situaciju na jugoistoku Evrope ili Zapadnom Balkanu, koji kroz politike koji se usvajaju u parlamentu, Evropskom parlamentu, trebaju prepoznati proces proširenja kao investiciju u sigurnost i stabilnost Evropske unije, a ne problem da bilo koja od ovih zemalja, bez obzira na naše unutarnje probleme, može sutra biti izvorom nekih izazova, čega se oni boje, nego sigurno možemo doprinijeti sigurnosti i stabilnosti, jer svakoj od ovih zemalja aspiranata je u interesu da kroz pristupajući proces Evropskoj uniji pokušaju voditi i implementirati reformske procese kako bi svaka od tih zemalja bila sigurna, stabilna, gdje bi narod vidio budućnost, imali nadu, znači stanovnici ovih zemalja, možda i zbog takve politike neotvorenih vrata ili bolje rečeno na neki način zatvorenih vrata, traži načina da odu i da svoje mjesto pod suncem nađu u zemljama Zapadne Evrope. Smatram da je to proces koji treba biti prepoznat i od naših partnera iz Evropske unije i na kraju krajeva mislim da treba pomoći ovim zemljama da što prije postanu aspiranti kako bi se zaustavilo i iseljavanje, jer nije samo problem Evropske unije to da li će biti Bosna i Hercegovina, Crna Gora, Sjeverna Makedonija članica Evropske unije. Oni nama tu trebaju pomoć. Mi smo, spomenuli ste na početku, recimo, problem migranata. Problem migranata je problem s kojima se suočavaju zemlje koje nisu članice Evropske unije. Znači, oni dođu na granicu, odnosno prođu Grčku, koja je članica Evropske unije, prođu u zemlje koje nisu članice Evropske unije, onda se taj problem delegira i Bosni i Hercegovini, i Srbiji, i Sjevernoj Makedoniji. Mislim da treba postojati za ljubav i za poštivanje obostrani put, znači dvosmjerna, a ne samo jednosmjerno. Uzmi šta mi se sviđa ili nemoj uzmati šta mi se ne sviđa.
Thank you, Minister PENDEŠ. Thomas Silberhorn, you are, of course, with the German Ministry of Defense. We talked a lot about EU enlargement. Let's look at NATO, obviously an alliance that is celebrating its 70th anniversary. I don't want to talk too much because I know that the following panel will address the future of NATO. Still, if we look at the enlargement process, Montenegro obviously celebrating, marking its 2nd anniversary. Macedonia set to become the next member. We just heard about the ambitions of Bosnia and other nations. What hope can you give those nations in the Western Balkan nations that they too will be part of the alliance?
Well, first of all, it's the decision of each country whether to join the NATO or not. We can offer our open door policy. We respect that Serbia decided so far to concentrate on our Partnership for Peace model, and the integration in transatlantic structures, of course, is a strong commitment to promote common values: freedom, democracy, the rule of law, and we are already cooperating in many fields, also in the military field. So in Mali, for example, the EU training mission, contributions from several Western Balkan countries, including Serbia, and many other deployments where, for example, the German army is active. We cooperate at a quite professional level, and we are able to complement this cooperation also in the European Union, with battle groups, for example, or in EU training missions. So there's a variety of options how to cooperate at an operational level. But of course, the strategic framework requires a clear commitment to our common values, and it's a good signal to NATO that the broad majority of Western Balkan countries already decided to make significant progress in aligning to our NATO structures. And as I said, it's also with NATO, it's the partnership model that is completely different from others in the world. And that's why it's so crucial to make clear what our core values are. And if I may add to this discussion on boundaries, this again is a core question: how to deal with the diversity of ethnic groups, not only in the Western Balkans. It's our common European experience that there is a great variety, diversity of ethnic groups across Europe. Not only in the Balkans, you experienced hundreds of years of war. We made the same experience all about Europe. And if I may add the example of Germany, we have German minorities not only in Poland and Romania for hundreds of years, but also in Denmark, in Belgium, wherever you go. And our experience is that you won't be able to clearly distinct ethnic groups from each other. What would it mean for Bosnia and Herzegovina, for example, for Republika Srpska? There are different models, and I think the integration model of NATO and of the European Union is to organize such a partnership at eye level that allows everybody to lower the separative meaning of boundaries between ethnic groups. And if you look at Northern Macedonia, there are Serbian minorities not only in Kosovo, but also in Northern Macedonia and elsewhere, and they are secure. So it's a responsibility of each government to secure all the citizens in its territory, and that's why we are really concerned that this initial debate on land swaps could escalate and open the Pandora's box. So this, I would see it in conflict to our integration efforts, both with European Union and NATO. And that's why we should foster all opportunities of close cooperation, to be clear at strategic level, but to be in close partnership also at operational and tactical level.
So diversity, clearly diversity, not just a reality in the Western Balkans, but across Europe as well. Clearly Germany and Chancellor Merkel have made it clear that they are rather skeptical of the land swap deal. Thank you so much for reiterating that once more, Thomas SILBERHORN. Péter SZTÁRAY, as a nation who is both EU member and NATO member, we are in the Western Balkans, we're in Montenegro right now. Countries mix, both want to become, either are NATO members, want to become EU members, or vice versa. What piece of advice would you lend? What would you give to these nations? What piece of advice as a nation who's already is part of these two institutions?
Well, I think I shouldn't give advice to these countries because they know very well what they want and how they can reach their purpose. But what we need is that there should be more and more countries within the EU and NATO who are aware of this strategic importance that I spoke about in my previous intervention. If you look at the individual countries, everywhere you see that the political elites have made up their mind that they should belong this or the other way to the West, the so-called West. Even Serbia, where they don't want to join NATO, but they cooperate with NATO very closely, and they want to join EU. And we need to tackle each country individually, but I also agree with President PAHOR that the individual treatment is not enough if you don't see the broader picture. So, for example, one of the major issues is the question of Kosovo, and it's a very interesting debate how this could be solved. The Hungarian position is that whatever the two countries agree upon, and if it's acceptable to both sides, and it's in line with international law, we have to accept it. Because that's how we can find a solution for the long run. Otherwise, there will be no solution if some of the possible types of solutions are excluded at the beginning, you know. But they have made progress. We hope that there can be a breakthrough because that would solve a lot of secondary issues in the region. And then, of course, Bosnia and Herzegovina is very important that the political players are able to build up the institutions, make the country functional, and to make the next step on the path towards integration. On Montenegro, we have supported them very strongly, and we are very glad that Montenegro is at last in NATO, and we hope that they can open the last chapter on the EU accession. And now North Macedonia, which had to wait 20 years actually, because one member state of NATO did not support their progress. Now they will join, and I think in terms of the security of the region, that will be another decisive step. So I encourage, I don't give advice, but I encourage all countries in the region that they make their homework and they make the next steps, because that's the long-term solution, individually for the countries and also for the region.
Encouragement rather than extending recommendation, and encouragement that Igor LUKŠIČ listened very carefully to, and I'm sure is embracing it. At the end, if we turn around the stick, obviously we have a State Secretary from the most populous, affluent European nation here. We have Hungary as a NATO EU member. We have Damon WILSON here with us, who may not be a US official delegation, but certainly somebody who's clearly well advised and well versed in this region. What message would you have to them? What message would you like to extend to them as far as Montenegro's ambitions are concerned?
Well, I think that the partnership that has been already developed should stay strong, and obviously I think it will be strong in the future as well. But I think that it is really important to work together with all the countries in the region to try to kind of break a vicious circle which this region has seen repeat in past decades, even centuries. The title of this panel sounds like a line from a Tolkien's book, and inevitably you start thinking about Lord of the Rings, and when you talk about rings you see a circle. So I think it is about breaking this particular regional circle and helping countries in the region do things in a different way. It is also great to see, as Damon said, this conference started as a kind of a mechanism, as a forum to debate Montenegrins' aspiration to join NATO. And it's great to see it has life after the membership of this country, because it has become one of the most important conferences that discuss security issues in the region. But now it goes beyond the pure membership in the NATO and moves into making this country a long-term viable nation, which means that there is still a lot of work to do to make this state prosper, again on the basis of rule of law and economic development. So I think that is one of the keys, key approaches, key policies that we should all stick together and constantly think about ways how to make this region more innovative, disruptive, but not in historical sense, but in changing the way things are done in this country, in this region, to make sure that it brings about long-term prosperity and quickens up the pace of making sure that we share the quality of life with our friends and allies in the transatlantic community.
Damon, all of our four speakers have warned about the extension and expansion of sphere of influence of several countries, obviously Russia and China in particular. How concerned are you? How concerned are you that Russia and China are trying to gain foothold in this particular region? How real is the threat and the danger?
Well, look, there's no doubt that we are moving into an era of the return of sort of great power competition. If you look at the United States today, you might see lots of political division, but the reality is Democrats, Republicans, independents have come together in the biggest wholesale shift in strategic thinking that we've seen pretty dramatically from an era of the war on terror, post 9/11, to right now the United States is very much focused on this era of great power competition. What it means is that we see a declining Russia that can still play a disruptive role. We've seen that play out in this region, in part because its objectives are a lot lower. We're trying to build something with our German-Hungarian friends. We're trying to build something positive for the region in the future. And there's a Russian strategy to sort of promote inertia, to stall, to disrupt. At the same time, in a very different way, we see the arrival of China globally. For the first time, a global Chinese actor, including in this region, which isn't in and of itself bad, but it means we've got a lot of work to do to come to terms with the rise of China and how not to slip into inevitable conflict with an autocratic power, how to live on this planet together, if you will. And it comes to a head here in this region. And I think that's partly why I come back to the premise of what we're talking about. If there's any message I could leave, it's a sense of urgency with what we're trying to do. It seems as if we're too content with inertia, uncertainty, a little bit of ambivalence about the European project, about the future of enlargement, about the pace of reforms in this region. I think the region needs to wake up and understand that the world is changing so dramatically. Great power competition, the arrival of the fourth industrial revolution with the pace of change of technology, how that interrupts, populist backlashes in the Western democracies, confidence in the autocracies, and really a big debate in the United States about our own, America's role in the world, and against the backdrop, a sense that the international order is being frayed right now. That's not when you want to just sort of tread water. You want to get progress reports out of the European Union that say a little bit of progress on rule of law, and signals from Europe that we don't really prioritize enlargement. It's at the bottom of the agenda, as President PAHOR said. I think we need to look at what's happening globally and understand that there needs to be a sense of urgency. We need to finish this project of a Europe whole and free, because the free world needs to work together across the Atlantic to figure out how to play more effectively in a rapidly changing globe. And I'm a little bit worried that this region, that the European debates in Brussels, get a little bit too insular and the world is going to pass us by. And that's why I think there's a little bit of danger, because 10 years after 1945, the United States, France, the United Kingdom were welcoming West Germany into the NATO alliance. 20 years after 1945, France and Germany were the economic engines that transformed this continent. We need to raise our level of ambition about what this region wants and is trying to aspire to. We do need to understand this is not just a technical process, although it requires technical work. It is a geostrategic process, and I think we need to put a sense of urgency behind it because we see competition from other influences. I'm confident that we can outplay, we can win. Mothers and fathers understand that their kids want to be part of a European economy, part of a free society. They want their kids educated in the West. We're going to win this sort of battle of ideas, but right now we're in a little bit of a funk, and I think there's a sense of urgency behind what are relatively lackluster progress on reforms in this region, and certainly a lackluster political debate. We should be saying this is not a question of if. This is simply a question of when, and it's the job of the region to change the politics of Europe by exceeding expectations so that those in Europe actually say, you know what, I watched this with the Baltic states, super skeptical about whether Washington should welcome the Baltic states into NATO. They did so well that they changed our politics, they changed our debate, and accelerated our timetables because they controlled their destiny. And I'd leave that message for this group.
Thomas SILBERHORN, Damon WILSON just issued a very passionate plea that we Europeans must wake up, must recognize the urgency. But as you said correctly, and so did President PAHOR, of course, right now Europe is, Damon WILSON called it a funk. I would call it a battle for its own soul, for the future of Europe. And if we're honest, if we walk around European capitals and ask citizens about the Western Balkans, probably met with either ignorance or indifference. How do we change that? How do we make sure that this call for urgency that Damon WILSON just put forth is being recognized?
Yeah. Indeed, I think we run the risk to lose one generation by disappointing their expectations. Let me answer with a very small comparison. After the Second World War, it took 7 years to found the European Economic Community and the European Community on Steel and Coal. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it took 14 years until the Eastern enlargement of the European Union. Now, how long will it take to integrate the Western Balkan countries? Yes, we already started with Croatia and Slovenia, but indeed we have to keep the momentum now. But I think there is a window of opportunity, and maybe the answer to this assessment of enlargement fatigue in Europe, in the European Union, should be answered by a wake-up call to use this momentum of the progress reports published this week, the Berlin process that will be continued in July. So there is a schedule of opportunities ahead of us that could be used. But we have to balance. On the one side, we have to offer significant steps, visible steps, so that the younger generation can really feel, yes, there is hope, their expectations are met. On the other side, there is a lot of hard homework to be done. And the reluctance we see in some European Union member countries is, of course, driven by our experience in the Eastern enlargement process. We had a big bang in 2004. The consequence was to continue on a case-by-case basis. We had concessions towards Bulgaria and Romania in 2007 and 2008 with respect to the chapter of judiciary and security sector reforms. So the answer is that we took these chapters first. We didn't start with the smaller ones. The first chapters that have been opened in the negotiations are the hard topics, and that's why the clear expectation of the European Union is to all negotiation partners to really deliver in this context. There is significant progress, for example, in the field of internal security sector reform, but there is a lot to be done in the field of independent judiciary, rule of law, fighting organized crime and corruption. And yes, everybody knows it, but it's I would encourage you and invite you to really deliver in these aspects. This would be the strongest arguments for many European Union member countries to really go ahead and answer and respond it with the next steps of accession.
Making the case to go ahead with the progress on the rule of law, the judiciary, and all the aspects that are needed in order to fully integrate the European Union, of course, coming on the eaves of a Euro crisis, migration crisis, rise of populism, of course, many of the issues that are dominating the European agenda and have been for the better part of the decade. Minister, I want to end with you, give you the final word. And as Igor LUKŠIČ said, this panel was titled, indeed, Gremlins of the Past and Fairy Tales of the Future. Let's try to end on a positive note with a nice fairy tale. Well, what are we looking at? What are signs of encouragement from your point of view, not just through the Bosnian lenses, but in general, that this region is going to prosper and become an integral part of the European Union?
Ja mogu kazati da mi u regionu surađujemo izvrsno kad govorimo o Bosni i Hercegovini i njenim susjedima i šire, i da je ta regionalna suradnja ključ uspjeha prije svega u našim bilateralnim odnosima, a potom sigurno će pomoći, pomoglo je mnogim od ovih država koji su bili aspiranti, bez obzira da li se radilo o Evropskoj uniji i NATO-u. I ja inače imam uvijek pozitivan stav i optimista sam, samo ponekad i naši partneri i prijatelji iz Evropske unije trebali bi možda angažirati ili bolje rečeno slušati glas jugoistoka Europe, kao što je i gospodin Pahor kazao, ljudi koji možda bolje razumiju, jer smo svi mi nekada bili u jednoj zajedničkoj državi, znamo mentalitet, znamo probleme s kojima se susrećemo i znamo šta znači pogotovo na jugoistoku Europe ukoliko i ono što ste uradili ne bude adekvatno prepoznato i kakve kontrareakcije. I u tom smislu ja potičem i očekujem da će u Evropskoj uniji ljudi prepoznati napore Sjeverne Makedonije i Albanije koji su članice NATO-a, koji su aspiranti za Evropsku uniju, da postanu što prije, a ove zemlje koje su u procesu pristupanja, kao što je i Srbija, kao što je Crna Gora i naravno Bosna i Hercegovina, ja očekujem zbilja pozitivne poruke, bez obzira što pojedine zemlje smatraju da ne treba doći do proširenja, a na nama je da, zahvaljujući vrijednostima koje vrijede u Evropskoj uniji, preuzmemo na sebe odgovornost da što prije, bar mi u Bosni i Hercegovini, implementiramo rezultate, da demokratska volja građana bude implementirana i da ti lideri, odnosno osobe koje budu imenovane, preuzmu na sebe odgovornost u vođenju reforme kad je u pitanju vladavina prava, kad je u pitanju sigurnost i stabilnost, jer jedino na takav način možemo pomoći svojim građanima, bez obzira da li će neko da u Europskoj komisiji kazati niste učinili dovoljno ovoga ili onoga. Mislim da je političarima, bar meni i kao ministrici obrane u Bosni i Hercegovini, bitno da Bosnu i Hercegovinu uredimo tako, ne da budu zadovoljne etničke grupe, nego konstitutivni narodi. Mislim da etnička grupa nije adekvatan primjer, mi smo narod, samo što je Bosna i Hercegovina država 3 konstitutivna naroda, za razliku od naših susjeda koji su nacionalne države, pa i Crna Gora, država Crnogoraca, Srbija Srba, Hrvatska Hrvata. Znači Bosna i Hercegovina je država 3 konstitutivna naroda. Hvala.
Ladies and gentlemen, Western Balkans, gremlins of the past and fairy tales of the future. I, for one, throughout the past 60 minutes, did not hear much of gremlins or fairy tales, but rather 5 speakers who were firmly rooted in reality in the 21st century politics that we're facing. Much still remains to be done. I think that much has become clear, but I sense a great deal of optimism that indeed those obstacles that still lay in the way will be overcome from Montenegro, Bosnia, all the countries in the Western Balkans, for them to fully realize their potential. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes panel 1. We're going to go for a coffee break for 15 minutes, but of course not before you all join me for a great round of applause for this wonderful panel. Thank you so much.